The silent scan the alien fleet drifted slowly through the dark edge of the nebula. Clouds of red and blue gas swirled around their ships like living shadows. To them, it was just another patrol, another sweep through human-controlled space. Their commanders had promised no danger here. After all, humans were still considered a young race, weak and reckless, struggling to survive in the larger galaxy. But then, one of the scouts reported something unusual. Object detected, metallic, large mass, no energy signature. The crew leaned forward. Through the haze of the nebula, they saw it, an enormous warship. It floated silently, almost like a ghost. Its hull was scarred, its surface rough with mismatched panels and welded plates. It looked like junk, as if someone had built a warship out of scrap and left it to rot in deep space. The alien officers laughed. "A human ship," one said. "Look at it, crude, broken. They build ships like children stack stones." The laughter spread across the deck. They had fought humans before and believed them predictable, desperate, and fragile. If this was one of their warships, it was nothing to fear. Still, curiosity was strong. Their science officers prepared a probe scan. Thin beams of invisible energy reached out, touching the silent warship. The aliens waited for data, expecting simple readings. Weak engines, old fusion reactors, maybe some primitive weapons. At first, the scan reported nothing unusual. Power levels were low, as if the ship were completely offline. The hull seemed mismatched, patched together from different designs. The ship appeared abandoned, drifting like debris. But then, something strange appeared. The scan returned fragments of energy patterns. Small spikes of power flickered deep inside the hull, but their source was unclear. The system seemed to shift, moving like shadows that avoided the probe's gaze. The science officer frowned. "This ship, it is hiding something." The commander waved a hand. "Continue the scan. Break through their primitive defenses." Obediently, the probe pressed harder. Data streamed back faster now, numbers scrolling across alien screens. But the readings made no sense. Energy signatures rose, then fell, as if the ship itself controlled what the scan revealed. Shield harmonics appeared for a moment, then vanished. The deeper they searched, the more the warship seemed alive. The laughter on the bridge faded. "What is this?" whispered one of the junior officers. "It should not be possible," said another. Yet the commander still smirked. "A trick. Humans patch their ships with lies. We will see through it." Outside, the warship floated in silence. Its dark hull reflected no light. Its angles were sharp, its armor jagged. Every piece looked stolen or recycled from different battles, but together, it formed a design both chaotic and terrifying. It looked less like a ship and more like a beast sleeping in the shadows. The scan deepened. Suddenly, alarms echoed through the alien vessel. Their computers detected hidden structures, massive weapon bays buried beneath false hull layers, reactors burning hotter than any human technology should allow. "Impossible," the science officer whispered. "This ship, it should not exist." The commander leaned closer to the screen. "Explain. These weapons, they are beyond our models. They are using energy we cannot classify. The armor is fused with alloys from several different species. This ship, it was built from wreckage, alien wreckage. Our wreckage." The words sank into the crew like ice. The humans had taken the remains of old battles, broken ships from stronger empires, and used them to create something new, something dangerous. For a long moment, no one spoke. The warship remained silent, as if mocking them. The commander forced a laugh, though his voice trembled. "It is still just junk. Continue the probe. We will tear away the illusion." The probe extended deeper. Data flooded their consoles, but this time it was different. Strange signals appeared, encrypted codes that did not come from their systems. The warship was not only receiving the scan, it was sending something back. The science officer's eyes widened. "Commander, it is scanning us." The laughter vanished completely. The crew froze. The warship, broken and silent only moments before, had turned its attention toward them. On their screens, power signatures rose sharply. Hidden reactors awakened. Heat bloomed across the warship's hull. Lights flickered faintly along its surface, glowing like the eyes of a predator opening in the dark. The commander's voice cracked. "End the scan, now." But it was too late. The alien fleet had already touched something they should not have. The silent warship was no longer silent. It was watching, waiting. And deep in their hearts, the aliens felt a strange and terrible truth. This was no abandoned vessel. It was alive, it was armed, and it was human. The nebula grew darker around them and fear settled on the alien bridge. None dared to speak, but all knew the same thought. They had awakened something that should have been left alone. Strange readings. The alien fleet floated in uneasy silence. The commander's laughter from earlier was gone, replaced by tight jaws and restless eyes. The warship still drifted in the nebula, silent, but something about it felt wrong. It was no longer just a piece of scrap. It was something alive, something that had noticed them. "Continue the analysis," the commander ordered, though his voice carried less confidence now. "We must know what this human relic hides." The science officer swallowed hard but obeyed. The probes dug deeper, their invisible fingers searching every layer of the human ship. At first, data came slowly. Strange fragments of codes, flickers of energy that vanished when measured. But then, as if the ship allowed it, the readings began to open like a door. And what they saw shook the bridge. Hidden deep inside the hull, power reactors pulsed with unnatural rhythm. Instead of steady waves of energy, their signatures moved like heartbeats. Systems adjusted, shifted, and changed as if they were alive. The ship's energy flow was not mechanical. It was adaptive, like a predator shifting muscle beneath skin. The science officer's hands trembled as he spoke. "This ship, it resists being read. Every scan we send it changes, adjusts, blocks us, and then lets us see only what it chooses." The commander frowned. "That is impossible. Machines do not think. Not like this." Yet all around them the screens showed evidence of the opposite. Each time the probes focused on one part of the ship, another part lit up, distracting them. It was like chasing shadows. The harder they tried to pin down its systems, the more the warship played with them. Then came the weapons. One by one, the scans revealed chambers buried within the hull, massive gun batteries hidden behind false plating, launch bays sealed under jagged armor, energy cannons coiled like serpents in slumber. At first the aliens thought it was an illusion, a trick. But the deeper they probed, the more weapons appeared. "This ship," the science officer whispered, "it carries more firepower than an entire fleet." A murmur of fear passed through the crew. They had fought many enemies, seen countless warships, but never had they encountered a vessel so packed with destruction. The commander slammed his fist on the console. "Enough, humans are scavengers. They steal, they weld, they patch together scrap. This ship is no different. It looks dangerous because it is chaos, but chaos is weak." Even as he said it, his words felt hollow. The crew knew it too. This was not weakness. This was deliberate. Humans had not built a warship from nothing. They had built it from the galaxy's dead. Every wreck, every ruined ship from every battle had been gathered, studied, reforged. It was not a mistake. It was a design. And then came the worst reading. The scan detected strange coding deep inside the ship's core. Not human coding, not alien coding, but something mixed. Fragments of different languages stitched together into one. The ship's brain was not just human. It carried pieces of every empire that had ever fought against them. "It learns," the science officer said, his voice barely audible. "It has taken knowledge from every ship, every wreck, and fused it into itself. This is no simple warship. This is evolution." The bridge fell silent. No one dared to breathe. The idea was terrifying. A ship that grew stronger with every battle. A ship that used the galaxy itself as raw material. Suddenly, alarms screamed. The probes, still latched onto the warship, began to receive signals they had not sent. Data rushed back in reverse, flooding the alien systems. Their consoles lit up with human code, encrypted and sharp like claws tearing through firewalls. The communications officer cried out, "It's not passive anymore. It's hacking us." The commander's eyes widened. "Cut the connection!" "End the probe." But the damage was done. The alien computers shuddered under the assault. Screens went black, then lit up again with strange messages. A single phrase repeated in bold universal code. "You are not observing. You are being observed." Cold dread spread across the crew. The warship had turned their curiosity against them. What they thought was a scan was now a trap. On the main view screen, the warship stirred. Lights flickered across its hull, faint but growing brighter, patterns flowing like veins of fire. Its engines, once silent, hummed with low vibrations that the crew could feel in their bones. "It's awakening," whispered one of the junior officers. The commander's voice was harsh, desperate. "Silence. It's still a machine. They cannot scare us with lights and noise. Ready weapons. Prepare for..." Before he could finish, the warship sent a final pulse through the probe. Their systems froze. Every alien screen turned to static, then cleared again, showing not their own data but a single terrifying image. The warship's weapons bay doors slowly opening. The bridge filled with panic. Officers shouted over one another, trying to restore control. The commander barked orders, but his voice was drowned in chaos. The science officer sat frozen, his face pale. "They wanted us to see this," he whispered. "This is not a mistake. It is a warning." The alien fleet, once so confident, now felt the full weight of dread. What they had uncovered was not a broken ship. It was a predator, watching them, studying them, and now preparing to move. And in that moment, every alien in the fleet understood a single, horrifying truth. The humans had built something the galaxy was never meant to face. The awakening. The alien fleet trembled in silence. Every officer on the bridge stared at the image on their screens, the human warship's weapons bays yawning open like the jaws of some ancient beast. For a moment, no one moved. It felt like time had frozen. The nebula outside swirled around them in ghostly colors, as if the universe itself was holding its breath. Then the low hum began. At first, it was only a vibration, soft, distant like thunder hidden deep inside the warship. But slowly it grew louder, resonating through the void. The sound was not carried by air but by raw energy, shaking the alien sensors, filling every console with static. The crew felt it in their bones. The science officer's voice cracked as he read the data. "Energy levels rising. Exponentially. The ship, it's not just powering up, it's evolving." The commander tried to stay calm, though sweat formed on his ridged skin. "Impossible! Humans cannot build this. They are scavengers, parasites. This is a trick." But in his heart he knew it was not. The warship's hull glowed faintly now, lines of blue fire spreading across its jagged surface. Symbols and patterns appeared, strange, shifting markings that looked almost alive. They weren't painted. They were burning through the armor itself. The junior officer whispered, "It's communicating, but not with us, with itself." The lights pulsed in rhythm with the hum like a heartbeat. The warship's skin seemed to breathe, expanding and contracting as energy moved through it. Systems awakened one by one. Shields flared into existence. Engines roared faintly, and massive cannons stirred as if they were stretching after a long sleep. The alien crew recoiled in fear. This was no derelict ship. It was something more. Suddenly, the probe link snapped. The alien consoles went dark for half a second, and when they lit again, they no longer showed alien code. Instead, strange human symbols filled the screens, shifting too fast to read. The crew tried to shut them off, but the code rewrote itself, locking their systems. The communications officer shouted, "We've lost control of the probe network. The ship, it has hijacked our systems." The commander slammed his fist on the armrest. "Shut it down! Block it!" But the science officer turned to him, face pale. "We cannot. It's inside our systems. It's studying us just as we tried to study it." The room fell cold. On the main screen, the warship's engines flared to life. Slowly, impossibly slow, it began to turn. Its massive frame groaned as if awakening from centuries of sleep. Each movement was deliberate, predatory. The aliens realized it wasn't turning randomly. It was facing them, a junior officer gasped. "It sees us," the commander shouted, trying to hide his fear. "Weapons ready! Prepare to fire!" But the warship moved first. It didn't fire. It didn't need to. Instead, it sent out a pulse, an invisible shockwave of energy that slammed into the alien ships. Lights flickered, shields collapsed, engines stuttered. The fleet trembled like prey caught in a predator's gaze. Every alien felt it. The humans had built this warship not just as a weapon, but as a warning. The science officer stared at the readings, his voice a whisper. This is not technology. This is will. The ship is not only human. It carries the knowledge of every battle, every wreck, every empire that ever fell to them. It remembers us. It knows us." The bridge crew's courage broke. Officers shouted in panic, some begging to retreat, others frozen in terror. Even the commander's mask of strength cracked. His voice faltered as he ordered the fleet to pull back. But then, the warship spoke. The sound came not from their radios, not from their sensors, but from inside their ships. A low voice, distorted yet clear, filled every deck, every corridor. "You tried to look inside us. Now we see inside you." The words were simple, yet they cut deeper than any weapon. The warship's cannons shifted, locking silently onto the alien fleet. Its massive frame glowed with power, its engines burning brighter than suns. And still it did not fire. It only waited, letting them feel the weight of its presence. The commander's voice trembled. "This is psychological warfare. They want to break us before they strike." The science officer shook his head. "No, it is not just war. This ship is alive. It is watching us, judging us." For the first time in their long history of conquest, the aliens felt what their victims must have felt. Helplessness. They had mocked humanity as weak, yet here, standing before them, was a warship built from their arrogance, their wreckage, their bones. The nebula swirled brighter, reflecting the light of the awakening warship. It loomed like a god of war, its silence more terrifying than any battle cry. The crew knew the truth. They had awoken something they could not control, could not fight, could not even understand. And as the warship's weapons primed, as its engines thundered, one thought filled every alien heart. The humans had built a nightmare, and it had just opened its eyes. Panic in the fleet. The alien commander gripped his chair so tightly the metal groaned beneath his claws. On the main screen, the human warship loomed larger, its cannons glowing faintly like the eyes of a beast ready to strike. The commander barked, "All ships form defensive grid. Prepare countermeasures!" But his voice, once confident, now cracked with fear. The fleet hesitated. Officers scrambled, systems flickered, and the crews of dozens of ships struggled to obey. None of them had ever seen a single vessel command such presence, such crushing pressure, as if the void itself bent around it. The science officer's voice trembled. "Its energy output, it's beyond anything recorded. Commander, if it fires even one volley, half our fleet will be destroyed instantly." Murmurs of panic rippled across the bridge. Some officers whispered retreat. Others froze, staring at the screens as if hypnotized by the silent warship. Then the warship moved. It was slow at first, turning its massive body with deliberate intent. Each movement radiated power. Its engines flared, lighting the nebula in eerie blue. The alien fleet reacted as if facing death itself. One junior officer cried out, "It's aligning weapons. They're targeting us." The commander snapped, "Hold formation," yet his own voice betrayed doubt. Suddenly alarm shrieked. Enemy fire? No, something worse. Their systems, navigation, weapons, even life support began to flicker with strange interference. The warship was not firing weapons yet. It was inside their ships, crawling through their codes, whispering through their circuits. On one alien frigate, lights dimmed as air recyclers failed. On another, weapon banks locked without command, cannons twisting to aim at their allies. In a third, communications filled with static before erupting with the human warship's distorted voice. "Run or burn." The fleet broke. Several captains screamed orders to retreat. Engines roared as ships scattered, desperate to escape the predator in the nebula. Others, too proud or too afraid, tried to hold formation. Their voices overlapped in chaos, orders and screams colliding across comms. The commander slammed his fist against the console. "Hold the line! Do not retreat!" But even as he spoke, two ships in his formation collided, their systems sabotaged by the warship's interference. Flames burst in the void as one frigate tore apart, scattering debris across the nebula. The crew on the commander's bridge went pale. Every eye turned to him, silently asking the same question. What now? The commander's pride wavered, but fear chained his tongue. He wanted to scream for retreat, yet the thought of admitting fear to a human creation twisted his pride like a blade. Then the warship revealed its arsenal. Panels along its jagged hull slid open, revealing rows of cannons larger than any the fleet had seen. Torpedo bays unfolded like wings. A colossal central cannon glowing with furious light charged slowly, its energy readings rising to impossible levels. The science officer whispered, "That is not a weapon. That is extinction." The bridge fell silent. They all knew, if the warship fired, none of them would survive. The commander finally broke. His voice cracked. "Full retreat! All ships, scatter!" But it was too late. The warship unleashed its fury, not a full volley. Not annihilation, just one warning shot. The central cannon discharged a beam of light so bright it carved the nebula open, scattering gas clouds like torn fabric. The blast missed the fleet intentionally, but the shockwave slammed into their ships. tearing shields apart and knocking vessels off course. The aliens screamed as their consoles sparked. Lights failed and ships spun helplessly. Panic became total collapse. Retreat! Retreat! Voices echoed across every channel. Pride was gone. Discipline shattered. The fleet scattered in all directions, captains abandoning formation, each praying to escape the monster they had awoken. But the warship followed. It did not chase them with speed. It didn't need to. It advanced slowly, steadily, its massive frame cutting through the nebula like a god of war. Every step of its engines shook the alien sensors. It hunted not with weapons but with presence. The science officer clutched his console, his voice breaking. It's playing with us. It could destroy us, but it wants us to fear. It wants us to carry the story. The commander stared, trembling. For the first time in his long career, he understood true helplessness. His people had conquered worlds, enslaved races, burned civilizations, but here, facing a single human warship, they were nothing. The nebula glowed brighter, reflecting the ship's terrible power. Its voice echoed again, deep and merciless. We are not weak. We are waiting. Ships fled into the void, vanishing into hyperspace, leaving wreckage and terrified screams behind. The fleet was no longer a fleet, it was prey scattering from a predator's shadow. On the commander's bridge, silence reigned. He could not speak. He could only watch as the warship slowly turned away, satisfied. It had made its point. The science officer whispered the thought none dared say aloud. This was not a battle. This was a lesson. And deep in their hearts, every survivor knew the truth. Humanity had built more than a warship. They had built a message carved in steel and fire: never underestimate us. The human message. The alien fleet was shattered. What had once been a proud formation of warships was now nothing more than scattered fragments drifting in the nebula. Some vessels limped away with burned engines. Others floated helplessly with systems offline, and many were simply gone, lost in the void, destroyed not by firepower, but by fear. On the flagship's bridge, silence hung heavy. The commander, once a symbol of strength, sat slumped in his chair, his eyes fixed on the view screen. He could still see it, the human warship, massive and unyielding, drifting through the nebula like a predator that no longer needed to chase its prey. The science officer broke the silence, his voice low, shaking. "Commander, it let us live." Those words cut deeper than any blade. It was true. The warship had fired only once, a warning shot that could have ended them all if it wished. Instead of finishing the fleet, it had chosen restraint. Not mercy, a message. The commander's claws scraped against the armrest. Why not destroy us? No one answered. They all knew the truth. The humans didn't need to destroy them. Fear was stronger than destruction. Fear would spread faster than fire. Then, the lights flickered. At first, the crew thought it was a system failure, but then the flicker became words. Across every console, every screen, every display in the fleet, a message appeared, written in the universal code no one could mistake. You came to see our secrets. Now you will carry them home. The crew froze. Their hearts pounded. The warship was inside their systems again, speaking directly to them. The message shifted. Slowly, each word burned brighter, etched into their vision like fire. We build from ruin. We rise from defeat. Every scar makes us stronger. Every wreck feeds our war. The commander's throat tightened. He had fought humans before, thought them weak, desperate, reckless. But this was not desperation. This was defiance made into steel. The warship's engines ignited fully now, burning brighter than suns. It moved forward, passing slowly through the nebula. As it advanced, it broadcast one final transmission, not just to the fleet, but across the stars. The signal was strong, unstoppable, reaching every listening post, every station, every empire. A voice deep and unshaken filled the galaxy. If you seek to understand humanity, then know this: we do not break. We endure, we adapt, and we are watching. The words echoed through space, carried on every channel. Entire worlds, entire empires heard the human message. On the alien flagship, officers trembled. The commander's pride finally crumbled, replaced by raw terror. He whispered what no one else dared. They wanted us to run, to tell the others, this ship, it's not just a weapon. It's a warning to the galaxy. Outside, the warship continued its march, not chasing the fleeing fleet but moving with purpose, as if its only mission was to be seen. Every glow of its weapons, every pulse of its engines was a declaration. Humanity had risen. Humanity had learned. Humanity was no longer prey. The science officer stared at the readings one last time. His voice was hollow, empty of hope. We thought they were broken. But the truth, they are unbroken. And worse, they are unstoppable. The warship vanished into the mist of the nebula, leaving silence in its wake. No final shot, no pursuit. Only the echo of its presence remained, heavy and suffocating. On the alien flagship, the crew finally breathed, though their relief was poisoned with dread. None of them believed they had survived out of luck. They had been spared for a reason. The commander rose slowly, his face pale, his voice hollow. We must report this. The council must know. The galaxy must prepare. But deep inside, he already knew the truth. No council, no empire, no fleet would ever truly be ready. Humanity had declared itself in the only way that mattered. The commander's last words, spoken only to himself, were carried on trembling lips. This warship is not the end. It is the beginning. And so across the galaxy, fear spread faster than light. Empires whispered of the human dreadnought that had awakened in the nebula, a beast built from scrap and ruin. Some laughed nervously, denying the tale. Others prepared their fleets, shivering in secret. But all of them felt the same weight in their hearts, because somewhere out there, hidden in the void, humanity was building more. And next time, the warship might not stop,